What's up? Okay, this is probably going to be the biggest roll to date. So we're gonna do this. Basically, three countries are going on the die. Very different countries. We're gonna have Mongolia in the winter, which seems as probably as bad of an idea as it is. And that's going to get two numbers. So 1 and 2 are going to be Mongolia, and Mongolia is a very, very harsh country for adventure riding. And that's the thing with all three of these options, which is why I'm so spazzing about this roll and why I put it off. Actually, yesterday I rolled if I had to roll yesterday to make this roll, and I didn't. So I didn't make the roll because, yeah, all these rolls, all these options dictate the fact that I have to sell my motorcycle. So I have to sell my baby, which I was planning on taking around the world with me, but logistically it limits the options. She has become my white elephant, and so it's just like, ditch it, roll the dice. I'll end up in one of these three countries. I'll buy a new motorcycle. It will not be nearly as wonderful, well suited, but it'll be in the right place. It'll have the right registration. It'll break down a lot more, so I'll learn how to fix things, or I won't, and I'll just freeze in some place like Mongolia. So Mongolia, well, which has shaggy camels, which I should point out is the only reason I have ever thought about traveling to Mongolia. I know there are other things now, but originally there was this National Geographic article. This was 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, Mongolia, shaggy camels. Fuck it. Who doesn't want to see shaggy camels? So there's Mongolia, 1 and 2. Then I have a list. I have to actually look at my list. And then there's Vietnam. Vietnam's like the soft one. I've been to Vietnam. I've done a motorcycle trip through Vietnam. The motorcycles there, I can buy a used one fairly cheap, but what I haven't done is Sapa. So like northern Vietnam, like north of Hanoi, and we're talking these like stepping rice paddies and just stunning scenery. There's a little rock climbing. I've got 3 or 4 friends up there, so it's a viable option. Maybe do that for a month or 2 and then make another big roll. But feel like that Vietnam would be like my gateway drug to the rest of the world. And then there's Kenya. Which basically would just force kickstart the African leg of this trip, which is bound to be a beautiful disaster. I have a pal in Kenya who's going to be a legend and help me out sorting out a bike. He's already kind of looking into some of this for me, and that's really, really good, which is why I chose Kenya out of any of the other African countries. And get the motorbike sorted out there, maybe spend a month or 2 in Kenya, and then start hitting up all these African nations and see how that pans out for me, and where I run out of money, try to find some work and do that. Right now though, I'm still in Laos, Luang Prabang, which is like the spiritual heart. I'm at this little bakery called Luang Prabang Bakery. Fucking amazing name. But they had this really, really yummy, yeah, see that? That's yummy, and they have these incredible cakes. It's like, so like, sometimes French colonial rule, they bring in some decent stuff, and the food here is great. Much better than Capital Ventien, which kind of sucks a lot. So I'm here, and like at the bakery, and like if I told these people that Dice Travels was here doing its biggest roll to date, like I've hit a level with our readership and like being well known, especially within Lao, that they would be like, what the fuck's Dice Travels? After an hour and a half of explaining, they would, probably ask me to leave the premise. So, I'm not going to bother to tell them that I'm doing such a great job promoting them, because I'm probably not, though. The cinnamon roll is off the fucking charts good. So, I have that roll, but first I have one like smaller roll. So, we're going to do our weekly thematic roll. Like, what's the focus of the week? 1, personal health well-being, which is desperately needed. 2, magic, not magic mushrooms, just, magic. I put magic on almost every time, and it's never come up magic. 3 is yes to everything. So basically, if people are like, "Hey, you want to do this?" I just go, "Yeah." Don't roll. Don't. I mean, I'll be rolling for other decisions, but you know, if people said, "You want to do this?" Just like yes. Little dangerous, low, but I found out people aren't like, "Hey, do you want to do opium?" So I'll just like avoid places like that. And that'd be okay. Um, 4 is can I try? I learned this from some girls I was traveling with. It's just like she just ran around going, "Hey, can I try that? Can I drive the boat? Can I do this?" And people let her, and it was cool. They're really good experiences. So that 5 is drawing, would be fun. 6 creative writing, outside of the blog. Okay, so we'll roll this one real quick. 2 magic. Yay! Okay, so focus is magic. 3. Oh shit, that's really long. Sorry. Okay, so the big roll. Big roll that everyone's been waiting for. Oh, and I have a side bet. A friend of mine has bet me 1,000 baht that I'm going to end up on Vietnam. I bet her 1,000 baht it's Mongolia. If it's Kenya, we both have to donate 1,000 baht to a charity.